What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Knives Monroe, and on this video, we're going to be comparing two epic Nitecore headlamps to one another. You've heard all about them, you've even used them, but now we're going to see them clash. We're starting with the HC68. There we go. Right there. You're gonna love this headlamp. And then we're gonna compare it to the HC65 UHE. Ultra high efficiency. Now, for all you campers, hikers, trail runners, night runners, dog walkers, if you work in industrial maintenance, this video is for you. But first, a little housekeeping. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already to stay up to date with everything Nitecore, EDC, and flashlight related. But without any further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Both these headlamps are unique in their own right, but they also have a lot in common. We're going to be comparing them to one another and focusing on their real-world application. You might be someone like me who goes on weekly hikes, walks the dogs at night, or you might be needing some light to work at night. Either way, the goal is to find the headlamp that works best for you. We're going to be going over the specs, run times, differences, red light, the headbands, charging, batteries, and some personal thoughts I'll save towards the end of the video. First, let's start with the specs. I want to start with the HC65 UHE. UHE stands for Ultra High Efficiency. It has a maximum brightness of 2000 lumens and a peak beam distance of 243 yards. It has a peak beam intensity of 12,293 candela. Next, we have the HC68. Matching the HC65 UHE, it has a maximum brightness of 2000 lumens, a peak beam distance of 220 yards, and a peak beam intensity of 10,300 candela. So when it comes to comparing the specs to one another, the HC65 UHE is just a little stronger, at least on paper, but the HC68 is no slouch, especially when you're using it in real life. It's one thing to see the specs on paper, it's another thing to use this out on the field, and this throws a lot further than you think. You really can't go wrong with either. They're very comparable in specs. Now I want to get into the size and weight comparison, but before we do that, I want to note first that the HC65 has a very satisfying clicking articulation, and it's very durable. If you shake it, it stays right in place, but it's very easy to take off. And if you want to use it as a table display and shine light when you're out there in the field, if you're camping, you know, if you have your little station set up, and if you want to eat or if you want to read, you can definitely just have this right here on a flat surface or hang it up as well, and you're good to go. So that's a really cool feature about these headlamps. Now when it comes to the size and weight comparison, the HC65 UHE is slightly bigger and heavier at 5.36 ounces versus the HC68 at 4.18 ounces. The difference is very subtle, but if you're a trail runner or if you're needing to pack light, you're going to want to go with the lighter headlamp, so the HC68 takes it right there. Now I'm going to list their run times accordingly. The HC65 UHE runs on ultra low, which is 8 lumens for 82 hours, and 14 hours on high, which is 400 lumens. Super impressive. The HC68 runs at 1 lumen for 800 hours on ultra low, and for 2.5 full hours on high at 950 lumens. These can last you all night essentially, which is going to be super helpful, especially for long trips. Something worth noting for the HC68 is once you go ahead and turn it on right here, you're going to see it go from floodlight to spotlight mode just with the click of your plus and minus button right there. The idea is you can change the focus depending on your task or need, and this is a really cool, unique feature of the HC68. I wish every headlamp had this. The differences in these headlamps are very subtle, but the dual spotlight and floodlight feature is definitely something that makes this headlamp really unique. And I think it's super cool, and it's amazing in real world use to have a differential between a spot and a flood feature. You're going to want it and it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, in my opinion. The UI is very intuitive. It's really just those two buttons and the on switch right here. So right now we're using the HC68, and you can see that we're going to go on max settings, and it's more of a spotlight feature. But if we hold the minus sign, we create more of a flood beam. Flood beam is actually very advantageous when you're on the move. But if we hold the positive sign, we're going to get more of a focus spotlight. And now we're going back, holding the minus sign, more of a flood light. All with a one-handed operation. You know, it's not subtle, it's very apparent. And so this makes a big difference when you're walking on a trail, depending on what it is you want to focus on and what your needs are. I personally like the spotlight feature as more focused, concentrated beam, but what do you think? When it comes to the HC65 UHE, also has a very simple UI. It's just two buttons. So you're going to want to long press to turn it on, and to cycle through, just tap the power button to do that, and long press to turn it off. So it's a very intuitive UI. When you're wearing it, you're typically going to be wearing it in the dark. So it has to be easy to use. You don't need to remember complicated button combinations. And I find that really helpful with both of these headlamps. So both these headlamps have red light features. Red light is so you can see in the dark without being blinded, which is what white light tends to do. It's advantageous to keep your night vision, you know, for an emergency response, or if you're going to be doing some night photography. It's also great for signaling, and like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't attract bugs. So hold the mode button, and that activates red light, and tap the power button to cycle through. Right now we're on red high. For the HC68, you're going to press the power on switch twice to turn on the red low, and cycle through for red high. So both of these have a red light feature, which is awesome. Great for looking through your bag and keeping your night vision, or like I mentioned earlier, reading something, whether if it's your navigation, or reading a map, or even just reading something off the top of your whatever's in your bag. Red light is a must-have feature for anybody that has a headlamp. I mean, check the comments if you don't believe me. Which leads me to the headband comparison. Now let's go into the HC65 UHE's headband, which is heavy duty, nylon. It has a canvasy feel. It's a reflective headband. It's durable, elastic. There are perforations. It's kind of hard to see no matter how close I get. But there are perforations, so it makes it very breathable as well, which you're going to want because you're going to be sweating profusely if you're running wearing this headband. So you're going to want it to have a breathability factor there. It also comes, the HC65, with a top band inside the box as well. So the top band is really neat, which brings me to the HC68's headband. It's very secure. It has a nice black camo pattern, top band, and a black back plate for your cabeza, right, for your head, designed with a curve to sit comfortably in the back of your head. So I love that. This headlamp comes with the top strap. So far, I've not needed it, but if you're a runner that likes to run with the headlamp on, you might need the top strap because of all the bouncing and head movement. The top strap is also great to evenly distribute the weight of the headlamp, as these heavy-duty headlamps aren't on the lighter side. What is that? What do you see there? That's right, a USB-C port. Isn't that cool? So if you unscrew the HC68, that's where you'll find the USB-C port to charge this. It has a very fast charging capability at under 2 hours. Both these headlamps charge very fast at under 2 hours. So this is durable, it's waterproof, which you're gonna want, or if you're running in the rain, you don't want to mess up that USB-C charging cable. So I am pretty big fan of that. It's not my favorite, which brings me to the HC65 UHE, just as simple as that. Very simple flap for the USB-C port. So I want to show you the battery LED, right? So we're gonna tap a button here on the HC68, and that will show you the battery life. When the HC68 battery is fully charged, the blue light goes from flashing to constant on, meaning full. 4 flashes mean full power, 3 flashes show that it's above 50%, 2 flashes show that it's below 50%, and 1 flash shows that it's below 10%. versus the HC68, which all you have to do is just tap the mode button right there, and those 4 LEDs just pop up. And it's pretty intuitive, common sense design. I actually prefer it between these two. So when it comes to the battery LED indicators between these two headlamps, I got to give it to the HC65 UHE. And if you want to just click this back on, you just push it in like that, and it's as easy to go. Very tight and secure, very satisfying clicking articulation, which I love. I believe it goes to a full 180 degrees. Don't quote me on that, but it's really neat. And then the HC68 requires a little more tender love and care. First, I like to get one sock on right there, go to the other side, and then just pull this a little bit and get that attached right there. Now you'll see that it's not as satisfying of a click, but it does articulate at the same rotation as the HC65 UHE. It's really secure. You're gonna feel like this cannot come off, and that's because it can't. But I think I prefer the clicking articulation to the HC65 UHE. So what are my personal thoughts? First, let's start with the HC68. I'm obsessed with the spot and flood features. It's easy and intuitive to use, perfect for hiking or camping. It's very flexible. It's a feature I wish every headlamp had. It does it all. Ergonomically, it's comfortable, long-lasting, and it's very customizable. If I had to nitpick, there's no lockout on the headlamp, which means it could accidentally activate. The HC65 does have a very easy and intuitive lockout mode, which brings me to the HC65 UHE. It's always going to be a favorite. It might be intimidating at first. You might say to yourself that you don't need something this sophisticated or professional, but I recommend you try it out for yourself on a night walk, because the throw on the HC65 is something else. It's heavy duty, powerful, portable, and it doesn't break the bank. With its ultra high efficiency LEDs, you can really get the most out of its runtimes. Both headlamps are terrific options, but I think it's really up to you depending on what your needs are. But what do you think? Which headlamp is the best? Comment below and let us know. If you've made it to the end of the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.